Hi, I'm Daphne from Daps Makeup, and I am excited today to talk about some new Dior products, mainly from their new summer collection, Dior Riviera, and I got a whole goodie bag full of them. So let's talk about the summer collection. All right, now let's open up the bag and see what I got. If you've watched my unboxing shorts or on Instagram, my reel, you would already seen me unbox all the items. So let's talk about what's in this collection. I think the star of the collection is the eyeshadow. There are two eyeshadows. Now I got the pink one called Pink Riviera. I'm going to open this up. Now I have been using this product, so you're going to see that what makes this palette particularly special, the embossing is already wearing away. So I'm going to open it, but I'll also show you pictures of it before it was touched. So this is what it looks like, and I've done a couple of different looks. I purposely try to just pick one corner to use it, so because I'm trying so hard not to destroy this beautiful embossing. So don't worry, I'm going to break this down. So I got the pink one. Then there's also the orange Riviera. I decided for two reasons to just stick with the pink. One, just me personally, this color story just called to me more. The other thing is I had concerns that the orange one comparatively was not going to be as pigmented. And I'm not saying that this is that pigmented, and we'll talk about it. But between the two, I felt that this one was going to be a little bit more pigmented. I did go in store to swatch it, and I'll try to post pictures of what it looked like. And so even when I swatched it, I was like, I was not that impressed. And, that I felt like I'm satisfied just with the pink, that I don't need both of them. This collection also came with two nail polishes. There was an orange one, a coral one that would go well with that palette. That nail polish is called Coral Pop, and I also in store, I swatched it. And actually, I think that's a really pretty shade. Great for the summer. Obviously, would go well with my outfit. The only reason why I didn't get it is because it looked very similar to a nail polish shade that I got from Chanel from a year ago. And so for me, it just wasn't necessary to me for me to have another shade like that in my collection. I don't use that color that often. It's really just, I use it in the summertime on my toes. So I won't go through that nail polish fast enough to warrant having a second one. But I did get the other one in the collection, and it's called Sienna. And yes, that is what's on my nails now. And I absolutely love this nail polish. It's such a pretty shade. It's this kind of bronzy, metallic-y red, brown shade, and it's gorgeous. I love the shade. And I'm actually also really impressed with the formula. I have a pretty extensive Chanel nail polish collection, but I don't have that too many Dior nail polishes. I have a handful that are just more really limited edition. But to get one of their more standard nail polishes, I don't really have much. And I was impressed because I did ultimately today put 2 coats on, but I'm telling you, even with 1 coat, it gave great opacity. I could get away with just the 1. I went ahead and did 2 just for the longevity aspect. But with Chanel, usually 1 coat for most colors is not enough. I need 2 or 3 coats to reach opacity, and this one reached it, with the first coat. So I actually think it's actually a great formula, and then this color is just gorgeous. Just so I could make the amount of money to get the pouch, I ended up getting another a different nail polish instead. It's not a limited edition. It's but it just was a color, a cute pinky color that I just thought I would have more. I would use this color more often, and I wanted to explore more of their regular line of nail polishes. And I'm actually, after using this, I'm actually excited to use this because actually I think their formula is really good. Another item that I bought that isn't from the collection, and it wasn't even just for the pouch. I was planning to buy this anyway. I wanted to buy this a long time ago. I was waiting for the opportunity to want to buy other products to make worth my while when I made a purchase. So this was great. This is new from this year, just not necessarily from the summer collection. If you know me, I am addicted to the Dior Addict lip shines. I love the cases and I do love the formula. So I really do use these. This case, I had to have this case. This is the case Dior Oblique. I love this pattern. I love blue. It's just gorgeous. And then I got one of the new shades, which is called D-Dream. So it's a beautiful, you know, mauve rosewood kind of shade. You know, I love these kinds of shades. It's kind of very reminiscent of the nail polish. So yeah, although they weren't with the collection, I was really happy to get those. I think I'll have a clip where you'll get to see this on my lips. I have a different Chanel lipstick on right now. I think in my demo video for one of the looks, you'll get to see me apply this on my lips. And if you've been following me on Instagram, then you've already seen it as well. And now there were also a couple other items in the collection that I decided to pass on. They have this Dior Forever Nude Bronze Glow. The packaging looks beautiful. The embossing looks beautiful. My whole issue is that, I mean, I'm pretty sure those shades are not going to, I couldn't use them as bronzer. They're not deep enough. Now, maybe I could use it as an all-over powder for myself, but I wasn't willing to take that gamble. So I passed on that. They're beautiful highlighters, and actually they're beautiful, and I normally love Dior highlighter formula. Once again, beautiful packaging, embossing. I only pass on it just because I have too many highlighters. I have to, I'm trying to be good and restrain myself. I have too many highlighters, so I passed on that. And then they also have some Dior Addict lip glow oils, new shades. I love their lip oil. They're like my favorite lip oil formula. And they look cute in the bottle. I passed on those just because I have a feeling, as exciting as the colors are, blue and yellow, all these fun colors, I think though on the lips, they're gonna essentially look clear. And I own too many lip oils to justify getting a clear lip oil. So I'm trying to be good, just trying to be good. So I stuck with the nail polish from the collection. Yes, get it, I love it. And then the eyeshadow. So let's talk about that, because I know that's what you guys really want to hear about. So let's get to it. So let's talk about this eyeshadow. I tried to resist this because I knew in my heart, like, you know, obviously it's the embossing that gets us, and I actually could already tell, and I was correct, that this was an embossing that was gonna go away immediately, like one use, like gone. And it's like, you shouldn't buy it just for the embossing, because if you don't actually love the color story, it's gonna be gone. But the more I saw it, I did start watching some reviews and seeing more pictures, and I couldn't help myself, and I bought it. But it's actually a really cute palette. So, but yes, the embossing, and I'll show you original pictures, is absolutely gorgeous. I normally, when I get an eyeshadow palette, I can't restrain myself. I usually use it, if not that day, I usually use it the next day, but certainly within a couple of days. I held off a few days just because I didn't want to touch it, and I needed to make sure I was fully ready before I just, you know, lost the embossing. But I've done it. And so, like I said, I'm trying my best to just kind of stick to a certain corner to preserve as much as the embossing as possible. I know a reviewer that said she went and bought a second one just so she could have one untouched and one that she will touch. It's kind of crazy, but I get it. I'm not going to buy a second one, but I understand it because it actually makes me almost sad to lose the embossing. So I have done a couple of different looks today, one of which obviously I have on my eyes now. So I did do 2 demo videos for you. I did a demo, the first look I ever did was very pink centric. So you're gonna see that. And then for today, I wanted to incorporate more of the orange tones in my crease instead. So I will show you demo videos of those. I might also show a couple of pictures of other looks I've done that I've posted on Instagram. So watch this, check this out, and then I'm gonna tell you my opinion on the formula because I do got some thoughts. All right, complexion, all Dior. Now going into powder, I'm gonna go into the Givenchy powder. If you saw my last video, or last video too, you would have seen me use this powder, but I was using it with a brush. I actually prefer it with the Sephora powder. I just want to show you how it looks with the puff. Not saying you have to get Sephora specifically, but I do find this powder I think is the best with a puff. Some powders I prefer brush, some powders I prefer puff. It just kind of just depends. This one, I personally prefer puff. It gives more coverage and blurring action when you use a puff. All right, we are going into this beautiful Dior palette. I have to say, like, it even hurt me to even do like little swatches at the corner earlier, but this is going to be my first time really dipping in a brush into this palette. I know this embossing is about to go away, which makes me really sad. I've prolonged this for a while because, you know, I hate to lose this embossing, but I gotta do it at some point. So we're gonna go into this palette. We'll see. I don't know what to expect with this palette. We'll see what the level of pigmentation is, how these shadows work with each other. I'm gonna start with the pink and then go into the deepest shade in the crease. And then, you know, we'll use these on the lid and, you know, we'll make it happen. All right, here we go. All right, there's the pink. Regardless of how it looks on the brush, it is soft with application. I figured, even from the swatches, that these are not going to be the most pigmented. Not to say it wouldn't show up, but it's going to have a nice light feel to it. Now, to bring some depth, I'm going to go into this one. I'm actually still going to try to avoid the embossing a little bit, both because I don't want to lose the embossing, but also to try to get as much pigmentation and I don't necessarily need a lot of gold showing up in my crease. Going back in with the pink a little bit with the dense brush. The lights are washing this out a little bit, but I mean, it's a soft palette, but I think the lights are making it look even softer. I'll show you natural lighting later. I'm actually excited for this shade over here. I'm just debating how much of the embossing, how much of the gold from the embossing I should take. I'm just initially with the palette just trying to like even avoid the embossing a little bit. One, just to preserve it, 'cause obviously I hate losing it, but also just to see what it looks like without any additional golden overspray that I don't feel is going to last anyway. It's not going to be there in there till the end. So it's actually a very light shade. It's actually more golden than I was expecting, and I'm not even dipping into to the animal. I've been like kind of going in here and here. So I'm really not picking much of the gold embossing, but it still shows up with a lot of gold reflex. I'm gonna go into the lightest shade here into my inner corner. For that inner corner highlight. And then I'm gonna go into this one in the outer V, just hoping that maybe adding a little bit of the orange might give a little bit of depth. I'm not sure if this is gonna work out like that. I don't know, this shade might have worked out better actually in my transition. You know, maybe next time I'll do a look with these two together. I'm not sure on my lid it's doing too much next to this one. I'm also going to just use this in the lower lash line. Just want to see. I don't know if I should go into the pink instead. Probably too late because I already went in the orange, but I'm going to still go into the pink and put that on the lower lash line. I'm gonna add lashes, you know, liner, all that good jazz. I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup and then we'll come together. All right, so I went ahead and finished the rest of my makeup, blush, highlighter, bronzer, and liner and lashes. Here's a close-up of the eye look. It's a very soft eye look. Last thing we have to do is the lips. And I do have the new Dior Addict, not only case in Oblique, but also one of their newest shades, and it is the shade D Dream, and this pinky rosewood shade I think will go well with this look. So here we go. My lips are dry, so I can't wait to put this on. So now this color is a very, actually for my skin tone, very easy breezy kind of color, very natural. So you can get away with no liner. I might add a liner onto this look, but you don't necessarily need a liner. But I just want to just zhuzh this up just a little bit. All right, so I added, it's an LYS lip liner called Rise Above. Like I said, this shade is a shade that it can totally stand on its own, but I did want to just add a liner just to, you know, just give a little more pizzazz and more depth to the lips, just so it could pop it just a little bit more. So this is the final makeup look. I mean, the eye look is very simple and unassuming, but at the same time, I do just like my whole makeup look today. It's very put together, you know, very classy and, you know, but still, you know, with some, you know, a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of color. So yeah, this is today's makeup look. So here is the final look. Let's get a closer look at the eyes. So just to kind of emphasize the pink on the lower lash line, I used a Victoria Beckham Cherry Blossom liner, and I also paired it with a pink mascara from Ciate London. And then I used black mascara and liquid eyeliner on top. Gucci mascara and liquid liner from Lisa Eldridge. On the cheeks, I've got Chanel, and I just use these two, the pinks and orange, just to kind of go with the pink and orange in the eyes. And then on the lips, I just put a little bit of this Chanel liquid lipstick. It was a limited edition shade called Erotica, just to kind of pull in the orange. So yeah, I just got this whole kind of pinky orange look going on. I think it's just perfect for the summer. I know it's spring, but I'm getting into those vibes. So this is the final look. So the eyes are soft and allows a bold lip to really shine. All right, let's get talking. All right, so hope you found those demo videos helpful. So let's talk about this palette. I think it's a cute, fun color story for the summer. Definitely very summery. So let's talk about the formula, because the thing about Dior's formulas, they be hit and miss these days, and you never quite know what you're gonna get. And that's why sometimes I have some hesitation about Dior. But I'm liking it. But as you can tell, it's a very soft palette. These, you have to know, particularly if you're my skin tone, the shadows are soft. They're not the most pigmented palette, and this is why I was very hesitant to get the orange one, because I felt the orange one was going to even be less pigmented. And now also using it, I'm also happy I didn't get the orange, because even though this is the pink palette, and you know, especially because you know you got this pink in the center, and even here, you know, this kind of diagonal shades are like leaning pink. The truth is there's a lot of orange to it, as you can see from these two, which are the more pigmented shades, are very actually orange leaning. So I don't think you necessarily need that orange palette, because you can create an orange look with these, and then you can incorporate some pink to the look with this row. That's my opinion. So, so here's the deal. I mean, one, thank God they put this shade in, because like I said, these are very light. And so this is your deepest shade. This is the shade that's going to provide the most depth that you're going to get in it. It's good that it's like a red, orange, brown shade, so to provide some depth. So like for that first look, I went in with the pink, and then I added this in the crease for depth. And that was beautiful. For today's look, I went in this in the crease, and then all over my transition, and then I added this for depth. Now, the other day I actually did a look where I used all the shade except this one. And I'll show you a pic. And it's very similar to this look. Basically, it was like this look, but without this shade. And to show you how soft the shadows are. I was okay with it because I was going for that soft vibe, but you can see how very light and soft these shadows are. So thank God that this shadow's in here to provide some level of depth. This just kind of helps to like intensify, I feel like, the orange here. These two shades, they're different, but I did a look, I'll try to post that, where I had put this like, actually no, I put this like in the inner third and this in the outer third. In the close-up, yeah, you can kind of see the difference between the two shades, but I will say from afar, like if you put these two next to each other, you can't tell really the difference between the two. So these two are kind of, believe it or not, more similar than you would think, but they're cute. So this gives you good shine, and then you have this fun pink shade. One thing about this palette, it got me thinking about a palette I bought last summer. You know, Chanel had come out with a couple of palettes last summer. There's one that was blue leaning that everybody went over, like was the more popular one, but I actually had gotten this palette. And when I started using the new Dior one, it got me thinking like it's actually really similar. So I will, and I'll try to show you some swatches. So a reminder of what this palette looked like, and then comparing it to this palette. So when you put these two together, they're actually quite similar, especially on the eyes. So if you do own this palette, you might not necessarily need this one, to be honest. I have to say, like you got these two orange shades over here, which gives you the vibe of this orange. Like if you put those two orange together, it's like equal to that. Then you got this pink shade here, which is equivalent to this pink shade. This sparkly shade here from the Chanel is the equivalent of these two. And I've done looks where I mix these two in the center, and like it's like the same effect. The real big difference between the Dior and the Chanel is just this shade. This shade is the one shade that provides more depth. So at the same time, if you didn't get this palette, I feel like you can get the same kind of vibes of this one, but this will have that added depth shade. Between the two, I might actually give the nod to Dior just because they incorporated this fifth shade. But it's still very soft. As you can see, it is still very soft. So you have to be cool with it being soft. These are not like heavy pigmented mattes. They're more like all like kind of satins. But I think they're cute. So if you're into soft pinky orange shades for the summer, I think this is a nice palette. But just be aware, particularly if you're my skin tone, the level of depth that you can achieve, it will only go so far. So if your expectations, they're not gonna look as deep as this looks, it's not necessarily that deep on the skin if you're my skin tone. For those with fair skin tones, I'm sure these pop more. So just be wary and aware of that, okay? But that is the look. It's absolutely gorgeous. Just know the embossing. I mean, I feel like the Dior writing is gonna last a little while, but this golden embossing, the minute you dip into it, it's gone. So be careful about buying it just for the embossing. Make sure you are cool with these color stories and cool with the level of intensity of the pigmentation on this before you make your purchase. Okay, so that is the deal with the new Dior Pink Riviera eyeshadow. Like I said, the nail polish, I definitely say get it. I think this is totally worth it. But yeah, so that's all I got, okay? So I'm looking forward to our next video when I show you the next item that has come into my collection. If you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel. But until then, I hope you have a great day. So, bye!